So thank you so much for joining us today. The purpose of our gathering, as many of you know, is to pause, to celebrate, to rethink of the purpose of the Earth Charter and the Earth Charter movement. And today we pause, we gather here to celebrate 26 years since the launch of the Earth Charter and 26 years of collective work inspired by a shared vision and common purpose. There are many organizations, many movements around the world, many individuals working towards contributing to social transformation. We are certainly not the only ones, right? Many organizations and individuals are working towards social transformation. So what could be the difference of the Earth Charter? One second. So what could be the difference between the Earth Charter, ECI, and the Earth Charter movement? In all this effort of the great transition. And I invite you to think about that. And sorry for my voice. I don't know what's happening. What could be the special focus that the Earth Charter offers? So I invite you to think that the special focus that the Earth Charter offers, it's really a solid ethical or solid integrated ethical foundation with a strong focus on fostering an ethic of care for the community of life. So again, there are many people we want to recognize. Their shot is part of many movements working towards this social transformation, but the focus of our work is in fostering, is that it offers this notion of an ethic of care for the community of life. And that's quite unique. I want to start by honoring and expressing gratitude for the dedication of many people and institutions that have been collaborating with Earth Charter International for many years, starting with the ECI staff. We're a small staff here in Costa Rica, Alicia Jimenez, Maria Sosa, Paula Diaz, who every day comes here and try to help and service actually this global movement. So thank you for the ECI staff. I also want to thank ECI council members and board members who many have worked for many, many years actually, contributing, dedicated to ECI, many ECI council members and board members. Also gratitude for ECI affiliated and partner organizations and the Earth Charter young leaders and educators from across the world. It's inevitable that we should start by pausing to think about Venezuela and what's going on there. We want to start actually this session by inviting all of us to put our hearts and our minds with what's going on with the suffering of the people of Venezuela and expressing ECI and their charter movement solidarity with the people of Venezuela during this time of profound hardship that is beyond what we can think what's going on there. So just a few minutes to extend our best energy and our heartfelt thoughts and prayers to all those affected. And we want to share that we remain hopeful that you have the strength and that the right help will come for the people, family, and communities impacted in Venezuela. When a tragedy like this one happens, I always think, what shall we do? With the fact that there are many other tragedies happening, actually wars in different parts of the world. But anyway, this one is one that we wanted to highlight without turning our back to other hardship that is going on in the world. So thank you. I would like to also invite or ask anyone from our staff to post here the reminder that we have a translation service for this session today. So a few years ago, we started with one project, which is called the Earthshatter magazine. And we are on the 7th edition of the Earthshatter magazine. We are very happy to say that this webinar or this online event is also used to launch the 7th edition of our Earthshatter magazine that brings the voices of 6 people in different parts of the world. Each Earthshatter magazine has the commitment to bring the voice of young leaders working with the Earthshatter. This one has 2 voices, one young leader from India, one from Ethiopia, who is here, Mahlet, with us. There are voices from Earthshatter educators or institutions that are working with Earthshatter. There is one Earthshatter educator from Mexico, David Eduardo, who works in a huge university with about 100,000 students. And he has been working for over a decade, 15 years with the Earthshatter. And he shares his experience through that article. Also the example of the Tec de Monterrey, and the Earthshatter educator who works with Earthshatter with young leaders, and an organization that have used the Earthshatter in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, during a carnival. So each Earthshatter magazine has the purpose to bring the voices of educators, institutions, young leaders who from different parts of the world that have been using the Earthshatter. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope also you'll help us spread the word about this magazine. There are 2 per year that we are publishing, one in June and the second one in December of every year. But this is just one example of the many projects that we have here from ECI as an effort to bring the voices of many who work with their charter. In terms of timeline, when we come together to this kind of gathering, it's important to look back, but also to take the pulse of where we are today and to envision where we want to be heading in the future. So I was thinking this morning of what happened 30 years ago in 1996. 1996, we did not have even the first draft of the Earth Charter. So, but we had something quite interesting that happened in 96. And Stephen Rockefeller got involved in their charter movement around 1995, 94, 95. And during the year of 95, he, with the help of experts in international law, they worked in a research looking at what were the key principles that we could find in international environmental law that could serve as the basis of their charter, right? So that document is called the Principles of Environmental Conservation and Sustainable Development, Summary and Survey. This research was launched 30 years ago. It's available online, and we should share here the link of it, but you can find if you Google Principles of Environmental Conservation and Sustainable Development, Summary and Survey. And that research served as the groundwork for the ongoing consultation and drafting process of the Earth Charter. So I wanted to celebrate that and look back at one of the key instruments, because the Earth Charter didn't start from zero. It built on existing principles that were available in international environmental and sustainable development law. And different international instruments even that emerged from civil society. It was a very valuable basis. Then in 97, just a year later, so 29 years ago, the first draft of the Earth Charter was launched after the Rio+5 event in Rio de Janeiro. So over the years, over the past 26 years, a specific focus of ECI has been in education, and specifically in looking at how the Earth Charter can serve as an instrument of education to expand and deepen our consciousness regarding how we ought to relate with the large living world. And under that umbrella, a specific focus of our work has been to engage, empower, and work in education with young leaders. And it has been a consistent effort of ACI and also with educators. So today we are going to hear from four very special individuals and institutions that have been working with their charter. We are going to hear specifically the voice from Mahlet Girma, who is a nurse charter young leader from Ethiopia, who is going to briefly share with us her context in Ethiopia and how she got to know the Earth Charter. We're going to hear one experience following her, one experience from the University of Granada in Spain. It's a university that has been actually working with the Earth Charter for 2 decades. Miguel Martínez, who is here with us. We are going to hear from 2 experiences of schools that have embraced this idea of working with the Earth Charter School Seal. So we want to know what is this Earth Charter School Seal and what has been the impact of the Earth Charter School Seal in the Region Valley Charter School in New Jersey and also in La Jolla School, public school here in Costa Rica. So for that, Maggie Vetter and Banachek are going to share with us. So we are going to have the opportunity to have this, to hear from different lenses and contexts of how the Earth Charter is being used. So again, I want to, before I give the floor to Sam Crowell is the chair of ECI Council, and Michael Bracken is also here with us today, and Michael is going to help us with the sort of concluding reflection of this session of today. So I want to express gratitude for each one of you for joining us today. I know it's busy for all of you, but I believe it's important to take the pulse, to stop and think about the purpose of the work we are doing, which among other things is to turn conscience into action, using the Earth Charter as our lens through a movement that is ongoing. So Sam, can I please invite you to take the floor and share with us in a few minutes what are your thoughts in terms of the meaning and the purpose of the Earth Charter for current time? Sam?
Hello, everyone. Your time zones may be good night or good afternoon or good morning, but it's really good to see you. The first thing that comes to my mind when I experience the Earth Charter and this movement and over the years has been a family. It really does feel, especially when we're together, that there's a family feeling, a family atmosphere, um, where the dreams of each of us are shared with one another, and the actions and the things that we've been doing are also shared through story or through illustration or example. And so I just fill up with inspiration. Um, and it affected me that way the very first time I ever read the Earth Charter. I was filled with inspiration, and I wanted to act from that. It wasn't just, oh, this feels good. I wanted to do something. And it's that kind of action inspired feeling and motivation that I feel and I felt over the years. The people that I've met, especially in Costa Rica with Miriam and her team, uh, they just embody these values. And as I get older and want to pass this on to the next generation, I find that this younger generation continues to feed my inspiration. The ideas, the dedication, the commitment they have is so inspiring and so noteworthy. They don't approach the world the way I did when I was their age. They have a different path and a different way, a different sensibility. And I just love that. And I want to pay attention to it because I want to listen and learn from those generations that are coming behind, and to be able to communicate and add anything to their lives is just such a treasured privilege. And so the Earth Charter has changed my life. It's I took an early retirement because I felt a renewed sense of purpose that I wanted to dedicate my life and orient my life toward the Earth Charter. And it's the reason I'm still working and writing because it fills me with purpose. And I think our institutions are heading down with the wrong purposes, or at least a misguided purpose. And so the purpose of values, of relationship, a relational foundation of the world, the interconnected, inseparable notion of reality, those principles and understandings guide us now in a way that I think is really, really important. So I'm privileged and honored to be a part of this family, and I'm privileged and honored to even celebrate uh, this notable day in the history of the Earth Charter. And we've just finished 25 years last year, and we have 25 more to go here. Um, this was written for vision for the 21st century. And so we're just getting started. We're just getting started. So thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you so much. Yeah, this idea of we are just getting started is helpful for us as to invite us to think that major changes can happen in one day, but it also takes years in different generations actually to build that. Thank you. And as you mentioned, a year ago we gathered in Holland for the Earth Charter Plus 25, and in that event. Representatives from Soka University of America came to us and said, how about if we organize something for youth? So a year later, so just 2 weeks from now, or less than 2 weeks from now, we are going to gather in California with 120 young leaders, more or less. Earth-Charted, mostly are Earth-Charted young leaders, to look at, to enhance, I would say, the youth agency and the role or the role the Earth Charter young leaders have to play within the Earth Charter global movement, but also beyond that, in terms of leader that carry forward this vision and notion of an ethic of care and respect for the community of life. So now I would like to invite Mahlet Girma. Mahlet has an article in our latest magazine that we launched just today and a few days ago. So Mahlet is a nurture young leader from Ethiopia. She directs programs on climate action, peace building, and social development through Inspired Development and Limitless Youth Training Center. So Mahlet, would you come to the floor and share with us a little bit of what is your take with your shadow within your context?
Thank you very much, Miriam. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Miriam, and thank you, Sam, for this beautiful opening remark. It's really beautiful. Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Mahlet Girma, and I'm from Ethiopia. And currently I'm working as a consortium program manager, and my work, it's mainly focused on bringing different organizations into one for the same purpose, and design and implement programs that we believe impact our community. And I'm especially passionate about education, especially sustainability and creating a learning opportunity for people, especially for youth, for young people. And uh, looking back to my science, I think it was always there. I think when I was a kid, I was a bit rebellious kid. I will use a quotation because I don't think it was rebellious now. And I was always that kid who asked, when I learned something, theory, I would ask, how am I going to use that in my life? I was that person, always asking questions to my teachers, and I was not really interested in memorization. I was interested more about how the education really makes sense. And yeah, I believe I had a hard time when I was a kid. And I also remember that I used to constantly putting myself into other people's shoes when I was a kid. Like I would sit in a class and wonder what it feels like to be a teacher, and managing that classroom. And also I would think myself in the shoe of a student who called lazy by students, by teacher. And I was actually worrying and wondering that if that student really lazy, or was there something else going on. And to be honest, I didn't know back then. But I think I was teaching myself empathy. I was uh, teaching myself to see situations from different perspectives. And yeah, that was my childhood. So that's why I say I think it's always been there. And as I grew up, as I grew older, my questions got bigger. Especially, I used to think about how how the future generation going to be. And I remember my grandfather. I grew with him, and he was saying, "You are the future generation. What future generation are you talking about?" And that was really a very fine thing for me, and that I believe that naturally it led me to sustainability and to ethical leadership, I would say. And because I believe a good decision means it should impact the people before us and the people after us. So I- that was always there. So when I grow older and find a job, graduated and find a job, it really starts pissing me off because I knew I was really far from what I love to do. And as I was figuring out things, my good friend, my very good friend, suggested me. She introduced me with Earth Charter International. I didn't know what Earth Charter International was before, and she suggested me that I take the LCE course. I think it was in 2023, and when I finally completed the course, it felt like home. It felt like I found a people who spoke my language. I found people who spoke my mind, and it wasn't just theory. It was not theory at all. For me, it encouraged my reflection. It encouraged a meaningful conversation with people different from all over the world, and knowing that I'm not alone in this. There are people who are pursuing what I'm pursuing, and it was really a beautiful thing for me. And especially about leadership, it taught me that leadership is not a title. It's not about a job. It's not about your status. It's more about what you do in everyday life, and it really gave me that space. And I would say one of my biggest takeaway from the course is, as I said, leadership, it doesn't have all the answers. Rather, it's about listening. It's about having empathy for people. It's about being curious. It's about caring for people. It's about making decisions, but with integrity. And even in my work today, I still bring the Earth Charter principles into my daily life. especially in development work, I believe it's more of about meeting the targets, delivering the activities. It's more about that. But after taking the course, as I said, I brought the Earth Charter International course into me. So it's not about meeting targets. It's not about giving reports to donors. Rather, it's about respecting everyone, respecting every employee, and making sure that their voice is heard, making sure the community we say we serve voice is heard. It's about considering our decision to benefit both our needs and the future generation need. So yeah, and what I really value from to conclude, I'm sorry, I'm going on and on, but to conclude, uh, what I value most from the course is, as I said, it's been always there, but it gave me the language, it gave me the structure that what I've been carry all the way. And it was really beautiful thing for me. And after all, the leadership is in empathy. It's about ethics. It's about respect, right? And it's about the courage, not just for us, but for people beyond us. And let's face it, the future generation don't get to vote right now, don't get to vote for today. So it's really up to us to remember them and to include them in our decisions. And I believe we have to be really, really smart about that. So yeah, and I'm really looking forward to the youth summit as well. I'm sorry, I think I take too much time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mahlet. Thank you so much. And we understand you continue to do training for young leaders in Ethiopia. Is that right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for continue to generate the ripple effect where you are. Wonderful. Thank you. Now we are going to turn to Miguel Martínez. We're going to do that in Spanish. So those of you who cannot understand Spanish, we ask you to look for the click on the bottom of your screen where you find interpretation in Spanish. So one interesting thing, 20 years ago, around 2006 and 2007, with Oscar Motomura, who was the chair of our council for many years, we co-organized here in Costa Rica what we call the first workshop for multipliers. And a professor from Universidad de Granada came here for that, and they continue to work with their charter ever since and even before. And I want to acknowledge that and recognize. So Miguel Martinez is faculty, works at the Faculty of Education at the University of Granada in Spain. And for me, from time to time, when I can, I share the example of the University of Granada of how they have infused their charter, especially in the Faculty of Education, and found many ways to inspire generations of students, actually. So, Miguel, the floor is yours. We would like to hear from you what role has their charter played in your research and teaching at the University of Granada?
Thank you, Miriam Villela, and thanks to the team that is a part of Earth Charter International for this opportunity to express my voice and that of a team that is increasingly meaningful, that increasingly grows more. And today's an example of this, that we have with the participants in this session on Earth Charter International, among them Maria Vilches, that I want to thank. She did her PhD studies in the University of Granada with myself and Professor Alfonso, and then Adrian Curanda, that also wrote his PhD thesis focused on Earth Charter and education from a critical perspective. My name is Miguel, and I want to thank the speakers before me, Sam, Marlet, because I will go back to two inspiring ideas from them to focus my analysis. They've talked about Earth Charter as an inspirational movement. It's not only an ethical milestone before the eco-social challenges we're facing today, but it's a hugely inspiring movement. And that's why many of us feel very proud working with Earth Charter, because it's a foundational instrument to transform, as Miriam says, conscience into action. And Marlet, because she's expressed another idea that is relevant, that we're now more. And I think this is an idea that we can put on top of the table. University of Granada has been working on Earth Charter, in particular the School of Education, and we also have professors from other schools, sociology, psychology, economics. We've been working on this for 20 years. Specifically, for me, it's been 15 years, and my teaching and research line is increasingly focused in this regard. And I teach pre-degree courses, and we're integrating Earth Charter. Alicia Jimenez knows this very well, because in her internship, when she was visiting us at the University of Granada, she had the chance to work with my students with Earth Charter. We're also working in different master's program at the university level. In master's program that have an approach on educational and education environment, Maria Vilches, Professor Fernandez, and myself, we've been publishing a series of articles, research articles that are published in international journals, many of them published in English, and some of them in Spanish as well. We're presenting Earth Charter in international events. And since a year ago, I have become the main researcher of a research project that is precisely trying to see how specific entities that work in solidarity economics and social action are integrating and developing Earth Charter values. It's a research project that we're doing in Andalusia within Spain. There's a series of autonomous communities. One of the most important ones is Andalusia because of the number of inhabitants and size. And we're working, we're presenting Earth Charter with this entity, presenting what it's based on, the values and principles of this epistemological landmark. And we have a second part of investigation to develop educational materials, to develop pedagogical, didactical materials, to incorporate the principles and values in these institutions. Another element we're carrying out is a collaboration with Italian universities. Actually, I will go from March to June in 2027 to the University of Rome and the Casino University. And within the ideas that I've been developing with them, that I want to begin working on jointly with Italian professors, is working on the Earth Charter so that they get to know the eco-pedagogical approach, and it's one of the purposes we're after. Another idea we have, as far as research is concerned, is for the 2027-2030 course, a research project of 4 years for the National Research Plan, where we want to work Earth Charter, eco-pedagogy, and the ethics of care. And this is a very ambitious project, and that's why I've asked Earth Charter International for their help. Thanks, Miriam and Alicia, for joining us. And it's a very ambitious process. We're going to be working with the Spanish Union of Teaching Cooperatives. And these are educational centers that have all of the educational levels, with the exception of universities. They have child, high school, primary, high school, training formation, pre-degree. They have approximately 600 educational centers distributed all across the country in Spain. And these schools have a very special characteristic because they start off from an eco-social approach, and they're very concerned because they have strategic guidelines like sustainability, gender equality, social justice, redistribution of wealth, principles and values that match perfectly well with the 4 pillars or major areas of Earth Charter. And we're going to be working from this perspective. We're very excited. Their national milestones, and they're different from other educational centers regarding their eco-social approach. And they have 1,600 professors. They're taking care of 150,000 students. It's a very meaningful number of students, both because of the professionals they have as well as the students. And we want them to know Earth Charter. We want to see how they're working on eco-social aspects and see to what extent they match the eco-social perspective with what the epistemological framework of Earth Charter says. And we just don't want to stay there because it would be just a description, but we want to take a step forward. We also want to implement a second research perspective based on participatory action in this methodology to see, to the extent possible, in those schools and professors that are more interested in learning more about this vision of the world proposed by Earth Charter. We want to see how we can help them integrate this approach in their everyday activities, their socio-economic perspective, socio-educational perspective. We're right now working with 3 PhD students on an eco-pedagogical approach based on the ethics of care and eco-feminist perspective. They're doing their PhD studies, and the group keeps growing. And I think we're increasingly closer, so that we have very committed people feeling part of this family, as Sam says, which is the Earth community. And so I think I've gone beyond the time that was given to me. We're open to collaboration at an international level. This is a network, and as such, they need to keep growing and enriching each other. And therefore, my offering to collaborate in different projects, or even people who are interested in the work proposal we have, can reach out to me, to us, and we see to the extent possible what type of collaboration we can maintain. But that's the idea, that we keep working on Earth Charter. Thank you. Thank you, Miguel. The perspective is amazing.
It's actually a very good example of a different generation inside the same university that has been working with Earth Charter, right? And I again express our gratitude to Alfonso Fernandez, who is the professor who came here 20 years ago and then brought it back to Universidad de Granada, and then generated ripple effect with Gria Gutanda, with Maria Vilches, and many others that I know that have done their master thesis and doctorates research with you through using the Earth Charter as a lens. So it's outstanding, really. Thank you so much. Now I would like to give the floor to Maggie Vetter. Maggie works at the Region Valley Charter School in New Jersey. She's curriculum coordinator, leadership team member there. And for us, we came across the wonderful work of Region Valley School a few years ago, and we're very happy that two things happened, actually. One is that Region Valley embraced the idea of using the Earth Charter School seal in their process of self-assessment of the school. And we want to hear how that experience was. But there was something else also. Last year we had a course for teenagers, 14, 15, 16 years old, and we had a few students from Region Valley Charter School joining us in a sort of multicultural group of teenagers for 6 weeks in this course. So I was very happy with that experience. So Maggie, please, the floor is yours. We would love to hear from you. How was your experience of self-assessment of the school through the lens of the Charter School seal?
Thank you. Yes, I am from Region Valley Charter School. Before I came to Region Valley Charter School, I was a public school teacher in New Jersey, United States, for 11 years. And then 17 years ago, I found myself at Region Valley. I taught 8th grade for 11 years at Region Valley. And just recently, I've moved into leadership at Region Valley. And Region Valley is a charter school that teaches through the lens of educating children for a sustainable, hopeful future. And we use we are really based on Thomas Berry, but we use an eclectic approach where we kind of blend some philosophies from Rudolf Steiner and Montessori, and we really tried to teach children to look at the world through an ecological lens. And through the philosophies of Thomas Berry, we really emphasize looking at the community as not just a human community, but an earth community, and try to really educate children to see themselves as part of a much bigger picture, linked to not just the earth, but the universe as a whole. And in 2024, I was invited with our school to go to Florida to the Earth Charter Conference. And when I was there, I was very excited about this Earth Charter School seal. And I was lucky to be encouraged and supported at the school to really pursue this. So we went through the process of getting the seal, and the beginning of that process was really kind of analyzing and evaluating our school and where we were at in terms of the Earth Charter requirements and philosophies. And in doing so, I really learned that our school was really doing everything on the list. But there was one discrepancy that I found, and that was global awareness and connectedness to the earth, to the whole globe. So that really led us to try to envision ways that our students and our school could connect at a much deeper level to the global, to the planet. And so we started an Earth Charter Club in the 2023-2024 school year. I mean, the 2024-25 school year. And we had the kids, like we do with all of our learning, kind of really take the lead and lead their own learning, be leaders of their own learning. And they help to imagine different possibilities in which we could connect with the larger global community. And that was a really interesting experience because they actually were part of the Earth Charter Seal application. We had many different levels of teachers who we call guides at our school, and students and the larger community in this application process. And then we continued that Earth Charter Club the following year in 25-26. And part of that was in participating in the program that Miriam had just mentioned. And we had 8 eighth graders participate in that, and we had 5 ninth graders who had graduated from Ridge and Valley the previous year. So it was really an amazing experience, and to hear the children reflect, at least the 8th graders, reflect on that experience of participating with students from all over the world, particularly in time zones that were more compatible. It really was impactful for them, and it encouraged them to be leaders and to present to the whole school community and try to get people to participate in their action that they were going to be leading. And it was just a really wonderful experience as a whole. And then we also became pen pals with students from Colombia, which extended beyond the course that they did with Earth Charter. And we also became pen pals with students from Germany. I met a teacher from Germany who was also pursuing the Earth Charter Seal during the conference in 2025. And we got our students together and we connected them to be pen pals. So the Earth Charter has really inspired a much deeper connection globally for our school and our students. And it really has been an amazing experience overall. And I'm very grateful for the support that I got here at the school and the support I got from Earth Charter International. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maggie. It's so good to hear from you, and especially to hear that a school that was naturally already aligned with the vision of their charter, with the fact that you were using or infused the philosophy or the thinking of Thomas Berry, and the whole thinking of Thomas Berry is so much embedded in their charter. So it was natural to collaborate with you, and we're very grateful that Ridge and Valley went through their charter school seal. Our wish is to have more and more schools from different parts of the world using their charter school seal as a framework for self-assessment and generate what you were just saying, like connecting with other schools that are doing something similar, and you can learn from one another. So that's really wonderful. Thank you so much, Maggie. Now we are going to invite Banachek Garcia, is our the last example of today's session. He's going to speak in Spanish. Banachek is the director of a public school in Costa Rica called Escuela La Joya. He's a educator of the Ministry of Public Education in Costa Rica. And for me, he's an outstanding example of a leader who is really trying to make things happen or making things happen in terms of transforming the context of his school. And they also went through their charter school seal, and he actually went through it twice already. So we would love to hear from Banachek the uniqueness and his learning of using their charter school seal in his context. Banachek?
Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Let me greet everybody before I get started. It's a true pleasure to be here and share a little bit of what we've done here at La Joya. My name's Banachek Garcia, and I've been 15 years director of this school. When I came here, I came here without knowing anything about ecology or conservation. I came from the city, and what we needed to do was work and teach our classes. But things started to happen. Everything is born when we realized that the students we had, because it's a rural community between two mountains with lots of complicated situations, mostly distances and location, the kids leaving school. Some couldn't even go to junior high, and some even dropped out. And what they lacked was social and soft skills to be able to be on the right track to continue with high school education. And this has a lot to do with our calling, because if I wanted to, I would only teach primary school and I would not be interested about the rest of the world. But we're not like that. We want a better quality of life for our students and the community. And the only way we can do this is through education. We started to see what we had. We had nature. And with the Ministry of Education of Costa Rica, we started to register in a program called Blue Flag. Little by little, we learned about a few things. And we started inserting all of this to our curriculum. And that's how we learned about Earth Charter. I had the chance to participate in the diploma course. And as Mahlet said, this opened up my mind and learned something new, like my brain got changed. So if I was very enthusiastic at the beginning, I was even more enthusiastic because I already had a vision. Earth Charter taught me to have a vision that we only have one planet and we all need to take care of it. And although it's true, sometimes it's difficult looking at a lot of things that happen in other countries. The news, what we get the most, it's all of the bad things because that's what sells the most. But the effort we make of taking care of even a tree is very, very important. Taking care of the animals, teaching students in a very experiential way as we do. We have a different educational project here. We work with experiential education. I can't explain to them how to take care of an animal just with a photocopy and coloring it. I have chickens, I have ducks, we eat the eggs, we take care of the peacocks, the chickens. It's an educational process that doesn't explicitly say taking care of the chickens, but when we take kids to the farms, they start feeling much more at ease. They're not thinking about hurting anyone, being violent against each other. So, without being in writing, this helps us. We do it in an experiential manner, and we plant everything. We have an orchard. We, if something's left, we give it to the animals. If there's more left, we give it away to the community, because the school is not from the main gate in, but it should be the center of the community. And there's something that I learned with Earth Charter, and it's the equality of opportunity for all. When school principals realize the potential parents have in the same community, and we begin using them to help the school, schools will exploit, because outside school, there are many parents that are professionals in a large number of trades that can help us with their knowledge, which is what we need for these students to be increasingly better. Now, the Earth Charter seal, how does it impact? How has been useful? First, we understand it as a guideline of things that we do on a regular basis without proving it. But this allows us to keep track of them, to know what we've done and what we haven't done and what's missing. For us, it's been very important, apart from the international projection, which to such a small school like La Joya that values the efforts of everyone. Here, everyone's important. For instance, my admin co-workers, the cook, the janitor, the teachers, everyone does additional things apart from what they're paid for, not because I asked them to, but because they want to, because this is contagious. Thank goodness I'm crazy and I have lots of crazy people around me. And all of this is contagious, mostly when you feel gratitude. We have a land that is 3,600 meters, the ecological part. Professor Miriam and Alicia have been here. There's an area dedicated to Earth Charter. It has the 4 pillars. When you visit us next time around, there's a surprise for you. And we try to live it here, and we talk to kids about this. So Earth Charter in itself is not within the topics the Ministry of Public Education in Costa Rica sees, but it's useful for me for them to develop skills and to begin seeing the world differently, because we need to help each other, take care of each other, help those that haven't had so much luck in life, to put it that way, and that others that we can help, that we do so. And just like Merlin and Miguel, I like talking about this because we're passionate about this. And when it's on you and it's your responsibility, fine. But when you enjoy this and you do it selflessly, this is what gets contagious. We talk a lot with the students because they ask a lot, because there's a lot visually to learn from. Every opportunity that arises within these learning spaces are very valuable for the development of kids, so that in the end, that's experiential education. How many of you remember when you were in grade school, something special that happened that was not adding or subtracting? It was something special that happened. At La Joya, we want that every day is a special day. This is what motivates us and help us move forward. Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you, Banachek.
It's an outstanding example of what you did with very limited resources. Also, a very good example of what a leader can do when you have a vision and dedicated commitment in expanding the limitations of the school to do more and beyond what is possible, I would say. A wonderful example of what can be done to implement experiential learning by bringing students to the vegetable gardens, to the forest, and working with the animals. One thing that I remember is seeing mathematics signs in the football field, mathematics signs in the vegetable garden. So bringing math to football, to the games, bringing the ideas of math also to the vegetable garden, it's fascinating. So And thank you. We really appreciate. We want to use the story of Escuela La Joya as a school that also went through the self-assessment of their charter school seal as a learning process. And in the room here, we have Minuet from Puerto Rico, Silvia Ferrero from Italy and the UK, who also used their charter school seal, and I just wanted to quickly acknowledge that. And before we end, I'm going to give the floor to Michael Bracken, who is the chair of the ACI board, to offer us overall conclusions, but really want to, again, thank you for the ongoing collaboration of ECI Council members, affiliated and partner organizations, Earth-Shatter young leaders, and Earth-Shatter educators to generate a ripple effect wherever you are. I know, for instance, in Holland, Ali de Rurik is here or was here, but they had an Earth-Shatter event yesterday. In Mexico, just a week ago, they had an event also on the Earth-Shatter, looking at the linkages between the Earth-Shatter and the rights of nature. And last week we had also an event in Brazil in Portuguese to reflect on the 26 years of the Earth-Shatter. My deep gratitude to the ECI team, who every day is here dedicating a lot of their creativity and effort. Either Maria Sosa choose for their Earth-Shatter Young Youth Movement program, Alicia Jimenez for everything that goes on with the Earth-Shatter UNESCO chair, and our education programs for educators, and Paula Diaz, who is here also helping us in so many different tasks. So my deep gratitude. So let me now invite Michael Bracken to help us conclude, and should also open the floor for a few minutes for any comment or question you may have. By the way, I saw Arthur Dahl here. I don't know if Arthur is still here, but Arthur is someone who I just wanted to acknowledge, because I think for 30 years he's been around the Earth-Shatter movements too, and the interfaith dialogue. So my gratitude for Arthur for being here. Actually, before Michael Bracken comes, any comment you would like to make, you could write in the chat box, or if it's a comment or a question, can be in the chat box, or if someone wants to raise the hand and open the floor, it's also welcome. Sorry, Michael, let's just hear from anyone before we close. Comments or question you may have, please. We are more than willing to hear, and it can come through a chat box. Or if you want, you can also raise your hand and come to the floor. Thank you, Jane Kilonzo, who's joining us from Kenya. Thank you, Sue Blight, who's joining us. Yeah, Banachek just shared on Facebook the Facebook link of his school, which, by the way, has a few things on their shadow, also very nice. Okay, so yeah, our intention was to share a few concrete examples of how different institutions and individuals are using their charter. Of course, there are many more examples, and many of you who are joining us today here also have your own examples here, but just was a choice for today's session. So, Michael Bracken, would you mind coming to the floor and sharing with us your thoughts? Michael.
Thank you, Marian. Friends, change makers, and guardians of this beautiful planet, thank you. I couldn't help but think of the word transmission as we listened to Sam, Mahlet, Miguel, Maggie, and Banachek. And the transmission started in San Jose, Costa Rica, with Miriam Villela and her team being part of the process of taking the ethical framework of the Earth Charter and transmitting it to each of you. Sam mentioned that he decided to retire early so he could dedicate himself to promoting the Earth Charter through education and other programs. Mahlet mentioned that it was really an awakening to her in terms of what she should be doing with her life at a deeper level. Miguel mentioned the program is going to next year in Italy to help raise the ethical core and eco approach for the Italian education system. Maggie talked about bringing in the Earth Charter Seal to an organization that already had covered a lot of the bases through Thomas Berry's work, but saw the need to create a global connection to strengthen the already strong program that they had. And Banajek talked about really rolling up your sleeves and getting in and doing the hard work with youth and helping them see life from a different perspective through experiential learning at all levels. Could I ask everybody now, this is the 26th anniversary of the launching of the Earth Charter. Can we just take a minute and share through hearts or clapping or whatever? Let's celebrate right now formally, if you would. Just go to your computer and let's share and wish the Earth Charter a happy 26th anniversary. Can you feel the energy in this room? Can you feel the momentum we've built together? Can you feel the truth that every voice here matters? In addition to the wealth of information we were able to receive today, each of the rest of us also views this as a room for inspiration, vision, and inspiration. I took note. Those are the words we heard the most together when we talk about the Earth Charter. And every act of courage that you carry back after today to your community matters. For 26 years, the Earth Charter has been more than a meeting like we're having today. It's been a heartbeat. It's something that our 5 speakers talked about in depth about how it impacted on their lives. A pulse of hope, innovation, determination. And today, you kept that heartbeat strong. You kept it loud, and you kept it alive. We came together today because we share a conscience that refuses to stay silent. And a lot of it starts in Costa Rica with Miriam Villela transmitting the ethical framework of the Earth Charter to youth and educators all over the planet with help from Alicia, Maria, and Paula. A conscience that refuses to accept the way the things are, particularly in the world we're living in today. A conscience that knows the future is not something we inherit, it's something that we build together. But conscience alone is not enough. Awareness alone is not enough. Today, we choose action, and as demonstrated by each of our 5 contributors. Today, we choose to turn what we feel into what we do. And here's the truth. Action doesn't always look like a grand gesture. Sometimes it's a conversation like the ones we've had today. Sometimes it's a vote. Sometimes it's a choice about what we buy, how we travel, how we show up. Sometimes it's simply refusing to look away. Every action, small or large, creates ripples. When thousands of us commit to ripples, we create waves. Waves that reshape industries, waves that shift culture, waves that protect ecosystems, empower communities, and inspire leaders who have forgotten how to lead. We're going to make waves in 2 weeks in Southern California when Mahlet and Amar, two of the youth who are attending this get together, are going to have an opportunity for 3 days to visit with youth from 27 different countries around the world and talk about what matters to them and listen to their voice. Look around you. Each of us is a collaborator. We're all co-architects of a world that is not just sustainable. By the way, I love Maggie's comment about sustainable with hope. I'm so sorry. I was lost there for a minute. Okay, I'll just finish up. We're all co-architects, a world where innovation is guided by compassion, where progress is measured not only in a profit, but in planetary well-being, and where humanity remembers that we are not separate from nature, we're all part of it. Back to you, Marianne.
Thank you, Michael. So with this word, we conclude the session of today. I appreciate deeply the help, the support that each one of you, and of course, Michael, over the last many years, in making this movement alive and contributing to ECI and making their charter alive within your context. Thank you, everyone. We'll continue. See you next time.